So we have this word, cut off for his people. Venikerata me something. Amea. Okay? So we have this word for cut off, which is karath. Okay, it's not in your notes because I just kind of was reminded about this during praise and worship. Karath. Karath. Okay, it's a word that can mean to be cut off, but it's also a word that means to be consumed. All right, well, to be consumed from your people? Oh, they're cannibals. We have this word for from. Okay? From is me. Okay? It is the prefix of ama. Ama means, or means people. But me is the prefix. Me is used for from, but it can also mean on account of. To be consumed on account of your people? Okay, well, let's look at people. It's Yom Kippur now, right? We're supposed to be reflecting on ourselves. Whosoever soul that shall not be humbled in that same day shall be consumed on account of his people, has a root amma that means dark or dim. Both and amma start with the letter ayin. It's the root letter to both of these things means perception. Dark or dim perceptions we find in people. So, for whatsoever soul it shall be that be not humbled in that same day, he shall be consumed on account of his dark perceptions. Okay? We have the topical part, I understand. Back then, if you did not humble yourself on Yom Kippur, and if you did not stop, you were going to get booted out of the camp. Okay? Being cut off doesn't necessarily mean being put to death. It's very specific when it says you're going to be put to death. To be cut off, it means you're going to be removed from the people of Elohim. That's what we read topically. But if we understand this as instruction, that if on Yom Kippur I am not willing to humble myself and look at myself truthfully, I am going to be consumed by my dark perceptions because I'm not bringing them to the light. Okay? Let's look at the next verse. And whatsoever soul it be that does any manner of work in that same day, that soul will I destroy from among his people. So if you don't keep this as a Shabbat, says Elohim, I'm going to destroy you. Okay, that's pretty clear. A big old bolt of lightning comes out of nowhere and you're vaporized. You know, hopefully the wife had the insurance policy. And whatsoever soul it be that does any manner of work on this day. If you don't take the time to stop, mikirav ama, that soul will I mikarav ama, destroy from among his people. Mikarav comes from the root abad, that means, sure, to destroy, but it also means to vanish, to disappear, to be gone from, to be separated from. Among. Again, me, on account of. People, darker dim perceptions. Let's read this. And whatsoever soul it be that does any manner of that in that same day, that soul will I vanish from on account of his darker dim perceptions. If I don't get myself straight, I will not be in the presence of Elohim from Yom Kippur moving forward. Okay? A lot of people, Judaism teaches that Yom Kippur is, if you're going to live for the next year, Yom Kippur is the day to get it yourself straight. Because that is the day that the names are either blotted out or kept in the book of life. Great. What this is telling me is that if I will not stop to take the time to humble myself, figure out where I am, figure out what darkness I need to change, that I am going to be separated from my Elohim on account of my darker dim perceptions, because I'm not taking the time to discover the truth that I need in order to worship him truthfully. Because by the time I get to Sukkot, I must be willing to worship in spirit and in truth. Okay? I left the next one big, so we can get the point. You shall do no manner of work. It is a statute that only applied to the children of Israel in the diaspora, or prior to the diaspora, and is no longer, because dispensationalism tells us that we're living in a new covenant and all that stuff. Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's in that other book. You shall do no manner of work. It is a statute forever. Forever is a pretty long time. Okay? The word for forever is olam. That means for eternity. Okay, this is where the dispensationalists kind of, you got to struggle with this, because they say, oh no, forever only means forever during the dispensation. Forever ends at the end of the dispensation. Eternity doesn't end at the end of the dispensation. Eternity goes on beyond any idea of a dispensation. We don't run out of pills in this pharmacy. Okay? You shall do no manner of work. It is a statute forever throughout your generations and all your dwellings. Might as well say this is a statute forever throughout all your generations. Well, I'm a Christian. I don't have to do that because we don't have to live by the law. If you're a Christian, you started off as a Jewish believer in Yahusha. Therefore, you are a generation of Judaism. You can't use that excuse if you want to bring the whole religious card into it. This has nothing to do with religion. This has to do with us as Adam. Not the first guy named Adam, as Adam, the Hebrew word for humankind, men and women. Okay? You shall do no manner of work. It is a statute for eternity throughout all your generations, in all your dwellings, in all of you. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of solemn rest, and you shall humble your souls. In the 9th day of the month at evening, from evening to evening, shall you keep your Sabbath. What does it tell us? It's just told us when we started this that Yom Kippur starts on the 10th. Now it's telling us that on the 9th we have to start. Why does it tell us about the 9th? Why even mention the 9th if it's told us about the 10th? Because Torah is instruction. It shall be to you a time for you to stop. It'll be a time for you to rest. Find peace. And you shall humble yourself. A time for you to look at yourself truthfully in the 9th day of the month at evening. Because I have to make the right choice in 9. What's the 9th letter of the alphabet? Tet. Tet. Remember, when we look at Tet, what do we see? We have a Zion that's connected to a Vav that is bowing before the Zion. But I have a choice in the Tet. I can submit myself in a relationship to my Elohim by and through his word and receive his nourishment, protection, and rest. But if we also look at Tet, it looks like a serpent. But the other choice is, I can yield to the enticements of the Satan and simply crawl on my belly like the Nachash, like the serpent. I can yield to the serpent and have a temporary whatever. I can't have a serpent relationship with my Elohim. I must have a relationship that I meet him halfway. And I meet him halfway by and through his word. So on the 9th day of the month, of what? The 9th day, the decision that I make in Tet will what? Will result in my restoration, my chadash. But it requires from evening to evening, from Erev to Erev. Erev is the first time in Torah that we see the ayin as a root of a word. Erev is that time between darkness and light. My perception must be right in the Tet in order to go from the 9th day to the 10th day. In order for me to go from making that decision in Tet to being sure of the truth and receiving the truth power, the power and the ability of Yahuwah Elohim to act in my life. You shall keep your Shabbat. You will take this day and you will stop. Because you can't be going crazy trying to figure out which way is up on this one particular day. Yom Kippur is like Eastern Mother's Day in the Christian church. Everybody goes to shul on Yom Kippur. They'll go to their bubby's house on Passover because she makes really good matzo ball soup and she always has the little pickled herring. But everybody's going to go to synagogue on Yom Kippur because Yom Kippur is the day that they're either going to be forgiven or not in Judaism. We read about Jewish gangsters back in the 20s and 30s. Hardcore killers. They'd rob people. They'd beat people up. They'd extort money. Yom Kippur, they were in the synagogue saying, Elohim, it wasn't personal, it was only business. Yeah. But this is why it's so important that it's such an important day that we have to celebrate it on the day that it says to celebrate it on. I shouldn't say this, and forgive me if it comes out in a way that maybe it shouldn't. We might fudge on the other holidays a little bit. Yom Teruah, we kind of fudged a little bit. Went out and looked at the sliver of the moon. I was so excited I didn't have a horn to toot. I didn't have a kazoo, but I saw it. I was excited. But we didn't exactly meet when the sliver was. We did that once, I think. Lorene's house, as a matter of fact. We cannot fudge on Yom Kippur. Yahusha celebrated his Passover the day before his Passover. We have to be willing to celebrate on the day that the Torah tells us that we have to celebrate. But Yom Kippur is that one day that we cannot fudge on. Because it tells us, how many times did it tell us? 3 times? This is a Sabbath. You have to meet on this day. On this Sabbath, you have to stop. You can't. Okay? And it tells us, you start on the 9th day and get it straight on the 10th day. Okay? So, we're going to look at a lot more not deeper aspects, more topical aspects. We're going to bring the submarine up for air a little bit on Yom Kippur. We're going to look at the mechanics of it and how they relate to Yahusha and how they relate to Adam. Okay? We will meet sundown Wednesday at the end of Yom Kippur because towards the end. It starts Tuesday evening. Okay. Tuesday evening is to Wednesday evening. Well, we have to eat at the end because that last blast of the shofar, we're gonna wherever we decide that we're finally going to end up meeting at. We're gonna meet here. Okay, so here, the last blast of the shofar. We'll have the Torah out. We'll put the Torah in as the shofar's blasting. The door will close slowly as the shofar's blowing. And then as the shofar ends with that final burst, you hear silence. Something to really, really push what it is. We'll discuss the Azazel. We'll discuss the Adam. We'll discuss how Yahusha represents all these things for us. Something you asked, or you mentioned over the phone, the Adam being created on Yom Teruah, right? Okay. The rabbis come up with all kinds of stuff, but Yom Teruah is in what month? On what day? When was the Adam created? On the 6th day of what wasn't even the first month, because it doesn't mention the month. He was on the 6th day. So keep that in mind. I mean, you look at it yourself, you know. But anyway, with that, we're going to call grooviness has been achieved, and we'll take a much closer look at Yom Kippur from Vayikra 16